2023 looms ominously as the third worst year for global economic growth in the entire 21st century. It will be forever marked alongside the infamous years of 2009 and the pandemic-stricken 2020, standing as a testament to the hardships endured by the world. The specter of recession looms large, casting its dark shadow over major economies, particularly the United States, where storm clouds gather. And the United States finds itself embroiled in its own internal fiscal crisis, a consequence of years of reckless spending authorized by Congress. This has led to an astronomical tripling of its debt since 2009. The stage is set for a year of unprecedented turbulence and uncertainty, an ordeal that will test the resilience of America and the world. Amidst this gathering darkness, one question remains: are you prepared to face the looming storm head-on? To answer that, we must delve deep into the current economic landscape and identify the malevolent forces that lie in wait.
That could help avoid an unprecedented debt default.
That's where the big debt ceiling talks are happening.
The bill to avoid a catastrophic default on the nation's debt is set to be signed into law today.
May 2023 bears witness to a fierce global battle for dominance in the realm of debt, as nations vie for the coveted top spot. Taking center stage is Japan, an indomitable force that flaunts its financial might with colossal central government debt, standing tall at an astounding 221% of its GDP. Trailing closely behind are Greece, Sudan, Eritrea, and an unexpected underdog, Singapore. However, prepare yourselves, for the United States is poised to make a grand entrance. In February 2023, the startling revelation emerged that the US had been burdened with a national debt surpassing its own GDP for a considerable period. Such an immense debt load is enough to make one's head spin. Experts employ a crucial metric, the debt-to-GDP ratio, to gauge the magnitude of the debt relative to the nation's economy. During the fourth quarter of 2022, the US GDP proudly displayed its prowess, reaching an impressive $26.13 trillion. Let us delve into the numbers once again. By November 2020, the US national debt had skyrocketed by an alarming 200% since 2008, soaring to a mind-boggling $27 trillion. During the bleak days of the global financial crisis, public debt loomed ominously at 95% of the GDP. Whispers filled the air as experts engaged in fervent debates regarding the long-term consequences of such an astronomical debt, contemplating its potential to inflict harm or ignite future growth. Zooming in on September 2022, the United States claimed the title of champion in the arena of the national debt, with an astonishing $30.9 trillion owed. To put it into perspective, this translates to a debt burden of $92,709 per citizen and a staggering $245,191 for every taxpayer. Can you feel the immense weight bearing down upon your shoulders? Undoubtedly, you can. Look into the era preceding the devastating onslaught of COVID-19 upon our global landscape, and you'll see the United States standing tall as the embodiment of an undeniable superpower. With its unparalleled economic prowess, military might, and geopolitical influence, it commanded an unassailable position on the world stage. However, the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic proved to be a paradigm-shifting event of unprecedented magnitude. Its impact upon our world has been nothing short of cataclysmic, drawing chilling parallels to the horrors of past traumas such as the ravages of World War. A shroud of uncertainty descended upon our planet as millions succumbed to the merciless virus and thousands met their untimely demise. Speaking specifically of the United States, its historical positioning as a superpower has shaped its proclivity for a measured international role, owing to a tapestry woven by a rich history and experiential wisdom. But the economic repercussions have struck the United States with unrelenting force, manifesting in a precipitous decline of the gross domestic product and a profound economic contraction. The reverberations of this downturn extend far and wide, as the nation grapples with the harsh realities imposed upon a world forever altered by the aftermath of the pandemic. Even the Secretary-General of the United Nations, bearing witness to the gravity of the situation, has acknowledged the coronavirus pandemic as the most formidable challenge humanity has confronted since the bleak days of World War II. In the midst of unprecedented circumstances, the retail industry experienced a significant downturn, witnessing a staggering 8.7% decline from February to March 2020. Yet this decline marked only the initial blow, as the ensuing pandemic delivered a devastating impact, causing a profound contraction in economic output during the final quarter. Its repercussions were unparalleled, forever altering the fabric of the United States economy as if a seismic force had reshaped the very foundations upon which it stood. The relentless COVID-19 virus spearheaded this upheaval, leaving an undeniable mark on our collective consciousness. The COVID-19 pandemic did not merely disrupt the established order, it tore through the economic landscape, leaving behind a trail of immense transformations that will persist for years to come. It upended the labor force with an intensity akin to shuffling a deck of cards, introducing permanent shifts that will continue to reverberate throughout our society. Following the tumultuous era of COVID-19, the US economy staged a resounding recovery, showcasing a breathtaking surge of 2.1% in real GDP growth during 2022. The magnitude of this resurgence left us in a state of awe, as hope and optimism began to permeate our collective psyche. However, murmurs of a potential deceleration, or worse, an all-encompassing recession, now loom on the horizon for 2023. The far-reaching consequences of the pandemic transcended mere sectors and reverberated through every facet of the United States, leaving an undeniable mark. From mammoth corporations to humble enterprises, the entire nation bore the brunt of an all-encompassing economic crisis. The burden was undeniably heavy, a bitter pill to swallow. Yet, as if emerging from the shadows, another behemoth awaited our attention. The confrontation between Russia and Ukraine, now engulfed in a seething crisis fueled by the unrelenting COVID-19 pandemic. This dire situation has concocted a perilous cocktail that threatens to unleash a catastrophic surge in COVID-19 cases, particularly among those caught in the crossfire of the conflict. The stage is ominously set for impending disaster, with overcrowded spaces and unsanitary conditions. Adding to this already dire panorama, the conflict has wrought havoc upon global food supplies. The disruption of vital exports, such as wheat from Ukraine and Russia, has sent shockwaves throughout the world, contributing to a widespread food crisis. The confluence of the conflict's consequences, the devastating impact of COVID-19, and the ever-looming specter of climate change have propelled food prices to astronomical heights, casting their dire influence upon nations far and wide. Even the United States finds itself entangled in this intricate web of chaos. The country has extended crucial foreign assistance to Ukraine, including substantial security aid, entwining its interests with the unfolding crisis. The specter of the Russia-Ukraine conflict looms menacingly over the global economy. Its ramifications extend far beyond the battlefields, casting a shadow upon global growth, inflation, and monetary policies. The reverberations of this conflict could be felt in numerous corners of the world, with even the United States susceptible to its consequential impact. The sentiment among Americans regarding the economy is far from celebratory or enthusiastic. Recent findings from the Pew Research Center reveal the majority of adults in the United States hold a rather negative perspective on economic conditions, considering them either extremely unfavorable or simply unimpressive. It appears that Republicans, more so than their Democrat counterparts, have been embracing a more pessimistic outlook. Remarkably, a staggering 2/3 of Republicans express a gloomy sentiment toward the economy, while approximately 1/3 of Democrats share this sense of doom and gloom. In late 2021, the Federal Reserve conducted a study that shed light on an intriguing phenomenon. While a substantial number of Americans expressed optimism regarding their personal finances, their overall assessment of the economic situation remained lackluster, to say the least. So what factors are contributing to this pervasive sense of concern? The confluence of numerous elements seems to be at play when it comes to the nation's economic worries. An inverted yield curve, escalating interest rates, exorbitant inflation levels, and the persistent uncertainties brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and the escalating conflict between Russia and Ukraine all combined to create a perfect storm of apprehension. And as if these challenges were not enough, inflation rates are skyrocketing, soaring to levels not witnessed in 4 decades. This alarming trend has left American consumers with a bitter taste in their mouths and a rather pessimistic outlook on the state of the economy. Right now, the United States government operates under a borrowing limit set by Congress, aptly named the debt ceiling. This financial boundary determines the extent to which the country can borrow money. Once this limit is reached, it acts as a red flag, signaling potential trouble on the horizon. In January 2023, the United States government reached this critical borrowing limit, stirring up quite a commotion. Discussions and debates ensued, contemplating the appropriate course of action. On one side, certain Democrats urged President Biden to take unilateral action and raise the debt ceiling independently. On the other side, proponents suggested invoking the formidable 14th Amendment of the US Constitution, asserting that defaulting on debt simply could not be an option. Now let us delve into the numbers. The US debt has embarked on a tumultuous rollercoaster ride, surging by nearly 400% in the past 2 decades alone. Yes, you heard that correctly. Various factors, including economic turbulence and the government's voracious appetite for borrowing through treasury bonds and securities, have contributed to this alarming debt growth. According to the minutes from the most recent Federal Reserve policy meeting, murmurs of an impending recession have begun to spread like wildfire. This crisis in the banking sector casts a foreboding shadow over the US economy. During the March meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee, policymakers seriously contemplated putting the brakes on interest rates, given the failures of not just one, but 2 regional banks. Even the Federal Reserve staff predicted that this stress within the banking sector could potentially propel the economy into a recession later this year. The US inflation rate continues to surge well beyond the Federal Reserve's targeted level of 2%. In fact, the most recent data indicates that inflationary pressures remain robust, showing no signs of abating. While consumer price inflation witnessed a slight improvement in March, primarily due to a decline in gasoline costs, soaring rental prices sustained underlying inflation pressures at scorching levels. So now, the US government dances on the edge of the debt ceiling, while the economy faces the turbulent winds of a potential recession and the fiery flames of inflation. Who knows what twists and turns lie ahead? Only time will tell.